afternoon.
Top of the day to us all. You are once again welcome to PD 5205 of 1 unit compulsory course. In this unit, that is in this module, that is module 1, we have gender issues, of which we have 2 units under it: definition and gender inequality. Let's go to module unit 1. In unit 1, that is the definition of gender. As you all know, in our homes, there are ways in which we give preference to our children. Maybe a male child or a female child. And at the end of the day, the one that you are giving preference to, you say, my daddy loves Joanna more than I do. In that home, there is already an issue. So let's see what gender means. Gender can be defined as a set of characteristics, roles, and behavior patterns that distinguish women from men, either socially, culturally, and in relation to power between them. It also refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed, and these include the norms, the behavior, and roles that are associated with being a woman, a man, a girl, or a boy, as well as relationship between each other. So it's as a social construct. But in a simple term, gender is the state of being a male or female, and this is in relation to social and cultural roles that are considered appropriate for men and women. So on the next that we shall be discussing is gender inequality. Gender inequality is a social phenomenon in which men and women are treated equally. Each child has the right to education in Nigeria, and the ratio of male and female students has shown a significant bias favoring boys, with the rate of disparity between lower in primary school than in secondary schools. And this actually, as in the north, you will see that their girls doesn't go to school. I'm sorry if any one of us is in the north and you are a female and you are in this class, definitely you have gotten your own freedom. But there are disparities in education of a male child and the female child, especially for the girls, because they believe that the girls will end up in the home of a man or in the kitchen. But things are not like that. I'm a female and I have reached the peak of my career. So therefore, there is gender inequality in some parts of the country, of which we shall be talking about. To examine why this may be so, we shall be discussing the gender inequality in Nigerian educational system. And you will agree with me that the goal of the Universal Basic Education, that is UBE, a scheme that was launched by the federal government in 1999, and the gender challenges that have arisen in UBE before suggesting recommendation to close the gender gap in secondary schools enrollments. So the basic premise of UBE is that education should be for all. The implication for the program is that every child in Nigeria must stay in school for a minimum of 9 years. And when we say minimum of 9 years, that is matched for primary, junior secondary school level. And any student that is successful at the junior secondary level, that will be promoted to the senior secondary. But the unsuccessful students who do not progress beyond JSS are to be provided with skill training to give them a chance to earn a living. That is why we have the technical education, in which they have to go to, and at the end of the day, they will have a skill of which they can rest on for the rest of their life as a sort of living. If you agree with me, UBE is intended to provide free, compulsory, and qualitative Nigerian education at the primary and junior secondary for all Nigerian children, either male or female. Yet, there still persist inequalities in access across all levels of education for girls for a number of reasons, which include the following. 1. Economically, men are regarded as the breadwinner of the family, while women are expected to do low or unpaid work, such as household chores, agricultural work, etc. These expectations are then passed on to boys and girls with access to education, which is prioritized by the parents. So economically, it affects our children, and this affects the girls mentally. And when it affects them, because they will believe that they are ending their career in the kitchen. So who says that a girl career will end in the kitchen? But this is usually common among the northerners, that they don't allow the girls to go to school, thereby giving them out for marriage at tender age. The second reason is 2, lack of resources. Where the family with limited resources, it is more often than not that the boys were more invested on than the girl child. The girls are not given the privilege to go to school, but they give more preference to the male child and give them the resources they need for it. 3. Religious hierarchies. This also discriminates against girls, which is reflected in religious-based view on education. I'll still say it's still common among the northerners and the northeast of the country. Even if they allow them to go to school, you will see they have to put on and cover all parts of their body, or they don't even allow them to go out at all. 4. Bias in curricula affects girls with regressive attitudes, viewing mathematics and science as being male subjects, while girls are predominantly taught literary arts and home economics. This attitude is perpetuated in the attitude of teachers themselves. And to overcome this gender bias and close the educational gap between boys and girls, the following strategies are recommended, which can only be achieved through political will and the cooperation of the parents and other members of the society. So how can we go about this? There should be public enlightenment campaign. These are required for the need for female education, not only in primary schools, but also in the secondary school and beyond. And this can be done through radio, that is jingles, through television and newspapers, etc. And when this public enlightenment is done, parents will see the need for their girl child to go to school and go beyond primary and secondary school. The second one is that we should sensitize the community on the benefits of education of girl child and women. You agree with me now that you see some women going to evening class, adult education. Where were they then? They were being disallowed to go to school then, And now when their eyes are opened, you see them attending evening classes for adult education. Third one, urge communities to plan, manage, and monitor basic education programs. 4, government should build more schools for girls in order to improve the numbers of those admitted into the schools. And if government should have a school that is established for girls, that is girls only, especially those that do not want them to go to maybe mid school, they can attend this school and their eyes will be opened. The next one is plan the location of the school to give equal opportunity to all school-age children, especially girls. There is also need to increase the numbers of female teachers to attract more girls in school. When they see teachers that are female, and this teacher will be a sort of mentor to them, in which they will also wanted to be like that teacher. So it will endear them to go to school. So the idea of girls not continue with their education should be discouraged to all, and more to study up and beyond the secondary school. Now, let's move ahead as we look into gender disparity. Gender disparity. This also means sex differences. Sex differences in education are a type of sex discrimination in the education system, affecting both male and female. Sex differences in education are a type of sex discrimination in the education system, affecting both men and women during and after their educational experiences. Men are more likely to be literate on the global average, although higher literacy score for women are prevalent in many countries. Men and women found themselves having gender differences when attaining their educational goal. In fact, I want to tell you a story. When a colleague of mine, after I gotten my PhD, I did not even know that this man was looking at me and saying, how can a female get a PhD? How can a female get to that level? And I asked him, you are also in this PhD program. Don't you have female in your class? Or in your community? Women don't get to that top. If women don't get to the top of their career, in my own community, we are not like that. You will agree with me that gender disparity is all over the place. So, women in this class, are we all just, after this your PDE program, or some of us might even have our PhD, but because we don't have educational background, we have to come for this. I give kudos to you. So let's move on. Men and women can have the same level of education. Yes, but you agree with me that it will be difficult for that woman to have higher management jobs and future employment and financial worries. Because when a woman should go for employment and a man, in that management they will prefer to employ a male personnel. And you will see that this is not good enough. That is why we are saying it is gender disparity in education. You will agree with me that Men tend to receive more education than women in the past, but the gender gap in education has reversed in recent decades in most Western countries and many non-Western countries. So you will see that most women now, they do engage themselves and they give themselves more education. Even if you don't have anyone that want to sponsor them, they prefer to sponsor themselves, and at the end of the day, they were victorious. So what are the reasons for gender disparity in enrollment? 1, we have cultural belief, households and family constraints, that is number 2. And all these, when put together, they are reasons why there is gender disparity in the enrollment of either boys, especially girls, in schools. And the third one is religion, because in this place you will see it is imbalance. For instance, in the north, because of their religion, they give their girl child out for early marriage, and they have a special way of dressing, and these factors keeps many girls away from school. In summary, we have learned in this module the definition of gender issues in Nigeria, gender inequality in Nigeria, gender disparity in enrollment of school, and the reasons for gender inequality. So we shall be ending this module now, and we'll meet again at the next module, that is module 2. Thank you very much.